Hey guys, this is Mike from Bokeh Film Studios, and today I want to talk about the lenses that I use to film the perfect wedding. One of the questions that I get asked all of the time is, what are the best lenses for run and gun filmmakers? And the truth is, I have no idea. But what I do know is that I have spent probably tens of thousands of dollars on lenses between buying them, returning them, selling them, upgrading, all this other stuff. So all I can do is equip you with the knowledge that I have gained throughout the years, and then you make your own judgment as far as which ones you want to buy. This is not a sponsored video. I do not have loyalty to one brand over the other. This is literally just the lenses that I use. You make your own opinion about which ones you want to buy. I think one of the things that people make a mistake on when choosing lenses is that they never ask themselves this question: what is this lens used for? It seems like a pretty basic question, but people fail to ask that of themselves when they're making these purchases all the time. It's almost like people want just one lens that they can invest in and have that be the lens that's used for everything. Unfortunately, you really can't do that. When you're starting out, keep the kit lens, keep that whatever range zoom lens that comes with the kit, and then purchase one solid lens that is going to really up your game, especially in the mid shots. That's where I would start personally. So what I'll tell you is, here are all the lenses that I use, and I'll actually not only tell you why I have them, but what I use them for. And again, that's got to be the question that you ask. What is this lens for? So I'm going to start with the lens that I use probably 60% of my day filming weddings, and that is the Zeiss 55 1.8 aperture lens. This is a native Sony lens through Zeiss. Zeiss is an amazing company. Google anything about Zeiss, all you'll read about is their fantastic quality in build. The Zeiss 55 lens is also crazy small. It will not make your camera that much heavier at all as you're run and gun filmmaking. It is a dream lens that is really primarily used for mid-range shots. Experts will say that the 50 to 55 range is really the most natural looking range, depth of field wise, and also just natural looking on the screen for the viewer. So the 55 is really going to be your go-to range. People call this the nifty 50. Photographers need to have a 50. Videographers need to have a 50 as well. It's a great lens, very versatile. Personally, I would start here with the 50 or 55, whatever brand you want to use. And the reason is I'm using the 55 right now. It's fantastic for interview style shots. For me, for wedding days, this is a great lens for getting detail shots. It's also a great lens for letter reading. It's a really, really good lens for getting that great artistic looking depth of field bokeh shot where your subject is nice and tight and everything else is kind of blurry in the background. It's just a great universal lens. And again, I use it for the majority of my day filming a wedding. The next lens I want to talk about is the one that I use probably the other significant portion of my wedding day, and that's going to be the Sigma 24mm 1.4 lens. It is a Sony E-mount lens because Sigma made an entire line of Sony E-mount lenses. What does that mean? It means that we don't have to use adapters so that we can still use autofocus. For me, that's great because I pretty much use my 24mm lens exclusively on the gimbal that I use for making wedding films. It's a great lens for motion, doing slow motion as well. It's super sharp. Autofocus is just tremendous on this lens with my A7 III camera by Sony. It's just a great lens for your wide angle shots, anything where you want to get more of the landscape, get things that are a little bit more picturesque with your subjects in the middle or off to one side. Great for motion, just a fantastic lens for that purpose. If I grab my gimbal, I grab the 24. That's really what I primarily use that lens for. Now I do also still have my Zeiss 16 to 35. It is an f4 and it's a great lens, don't get me wrong, I like it a lot, but that f4 kind of limits me quite quite a bit when I want to get some of these more artistic shots. It's a great lens for vlogging, gives me that versatility between the 16 and the 35. But what I was finding is when I was shooting weddings, honestly, I would almost put the lens at about 20 to 24 millimeters. So if I was already gonna do that and not use the super wide range of the 16, it just made sense for me to get the Sigma that has a much better f-stop than what I was using currently with the Zeiss lens. Now, the other two lenses are kind of put in a similar category. I've talked about the 55, which is really that mid-range lens. I've talked about the 24, which is really more the wide angle, a little bit further shot type deal. And now I want to talk about lenses that you need when you're set pretty far back, but you want to get that angle nice and close. So the two lenses that I use to achieve this is going to be my Sony G Master 70-200 and also the Sigma 85mm lens that I have. Now, the 70-200 that I use is an f4. It's not the super fancy 2.8 lens. And that's okay, that's fine. f4 is okay. Would I prefer 2.8? Absolutely, but it works. And I primarily use this for the ceremony, and then I pretty much don't touch it the rest of the day. The other lens that I use a lot for these longer range shots is going to be the Sigma 85. Now, the reason I have this lens is because I wanted a second long range shot during a ceremony, but I also got it because I needed more of like a sniper style, really nice aperture. I believe it's a 1.4 as well. Really nice aperture lens to get a lot of the reception dancing without being right up, next to people and getting in their way when they're dancing. And maybe even some of the camaraderie that happens during a wedding. I just wanted to get those sniper shots from a distance without, people feeling like I'm in their face recording. So I really love that Sigma 85. I can get nice, good low light in it because it is the 1.8 aperture, but it's just a great overall build, great lens by Sigma, also Sony E-mount. So those are the lenses that I use. I hope that this tutorial was a little bit helpful to you in just trying to figure out, man, what lenses should I buy for run and gun filmmaking? And again, always come back to that question, why am I buying this lens and what would I be using it for? You can't just make a lens that is designed for one thing and force it into another category altogether. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have if you're between a couple lenses. I'd love to try to help you out, steer you in the right direction, maybe save you a couple dollars in the meantime. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to catch you next time. As always, happy filmmaking.